Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're spotlighting Doom 2, or Doom 2 Hell on Earth, as it was known. So, first thing I think I need to point out is, while I was spotlighting Doom 1, or Ultimate Doom that's available on Steam, after 30 minutes of playing that game, I was incredibly motion sick. And throughout the entire series, it never really occurred to me before this point why I've never actually finished any episode of Doom, and now I recognize why. Something I assume probably having to do with its 3D, revolutionary 3D graphics causes extreme motion sickness in me, and that is a problem. So, to kind of avoid that, I'm going to try to talk a little bit while just the demo plays. It is worth mentioning that this 1994 game is not shareware, so in a kind of historical retrospective way, Doom 1 was the AAA game that encouraged the idea of releasing your game, or at least the first episode of your game, to shareware, and Doom 2 being the sequel to the highly successful Doom 1 because of the shareware, immediately abandoned that and went for a full-priced product. And on top of that, while the Doom series has been episodic, and I guess Doom is also to blame for episodic releases, which were for many years, probably a couple of decades, episodic releases were very rare. Now they've become something that more and more game developers are trying to re-embrace as a way of both getting you to pre-order the game that is unfinished and buy DLC by buying the second episode, third episode, fourth episode. So you're both embracing terrible pre-order culture and embracing terrible DLC culture in one fell swoop with episodic concepts. I would also relatively argue that the Doom series doesn't really seem like it has much of a main storyline, so if you were to only get one level or one middle part of Doom and not get the other episodes, you probably would still have a fine time. They really didn't sell it in such a fashion that you could do it, because Doom 1's sharewares, you got all of it, and then there's just a extremely long period in which they added more and more content, and that is continued in Doom 2. Also, it's continued in non-Doom games. This Steam version is again using DOSBox, which I loaded the original controls, and apparently it didn't even have originally WASD controls, which is not something I recall. But yeah, if you use the launcher option in Steam for the original controls, you have to use the arrow keys to move yourself around, which makes no sense because I'm fairly certain the game always had you selecting weapons with the number pad, or the number row, more specifically. You can see in this demo for Doom 2, while not a lot has changed and none of these enemies are recognizably new compared to Doom 1, things are different. It's a little bit more difficult. That I think each release added more and more levels of difficulty. That would make a whole lot of sense, because it would be rather annoying to run into a expansion where the game is way easier. Now, a lot of these characters that we're seeing right now, you don't run into until you are basically fighting a boss at the end of episode 2 or 3. Maybe that guy that was just shot is new for Doom 2. But not a lot is changing here. These are the exact same Doom WAD files. I doubt Doom 2's engine is particularly different. Although maybe the skybox and the textures have been slightly improved upon. But yeah, there's not a lot different. I'm gonna jump in now. So you start with no episode select for Doom 2. This is all you've got. And if you're using the new controls, the arrow keys stop working as a way of controlling. And they start you off early and fun with the beloved secret chainsaw, which you can then use to run up to people and kill them, which is kind of the opposite of what you would want to do on a first-person shooter game. There's, I believe, not too much to all of these areas. Like, you press this and it lowers all 4 of them, and then you get attacked because apparently they can't shoot you from a higher set. And then there's, I believe, a secret door. There's a lot that even in the first level of level 1 I have forgotten because so much has changed. So much time has just passed. I'm fairly certain there was a secret something or other in here. I thought it was over here, but whatever. The chainsaw does not have any real limitations or anything like that. The map here, I think, is a shape that you see, but yeah, there's just a lot of, you're left with this first map to get through, which could be slightly problematic. You can kill through this doorway, and then you can get into this big wide area. I would say this seems to be running a lot slower than the first game, where the first game ran rather smoothly. It would also, I think, be fair to say that it is still kind of ridiculous. I actually went and looked, and there's just the first web page I searched that listed emulators and source ports is what they're actually called. As far as source ports to run Doom using OpenGL, which would probably be better graphics. There's a lot. PR Boom Plus is probably my pick. It adds multiplayer. It adds a lot of source extras and has plugin support. So if you really wanted to play these Doom mods, which you still really run into historical reasons why you might want to play this, but that's kind of it. Like, if you've never played the old Doom games, you kind of just need to know that they suck. And see, that didn't even bring up what looked like much of a map, and I know I just ran through here. There seems to be a bit of a idea here where, unlike the first game where the first enemy you run into in the first level is looking directly towards you and will attack you as soon as it sees you, they seem to be specifically programming these guys to be looking in the opposite direction. And it's still the same thing. You're trying to run around, maintain your health, increase your armor. Perhaps they've embraced a new concept of shooting through walls somewhat, and you're trying to slowly upgrade your weapons. In all of reality, though, I think what this really just boils down to is you will eventually get to the final boss of a level, and in that final boss you will have to, you at best will have a maximum amount of health, armor, and weapons, and the most quality weapons. Compared to the first level in Doom 1, this is a lot more enemies on screen. And you can definitely see that by modern game standards, this is not a not really an acceptable number of sprites and variations of sprites, because it's just the same character over and over again. I just upgraded my shotgun, by the way, to a double barrel shotgun, which doubles the amount of damage per shot. There seems to be some floating because, oh, I guess you're also moving with the mouse. And that might explain some of this weirdness. So the controls don't feel like the same that was in Doom 1, and this is all the same. This is all the same DOSBox emulator. They're doing us some kindness and not really killing us when we're walking on what looks like piles of water. So, who just shot me? That guy. So, what it feels like I have to do is take my hand completely off the mouse, because the mouse, being a modern mouse, can't handle the inputs. It's just too many inputs at once. Yeah, it feels like you should be able to jump through that, but there's no jump button. And I don't even know what the button would be if there was a jump button. Doesn't seem like it's Q or E. So maybe I just need to go somewhere else. But that's this is the collectible you're supposed to get. Clearly. And if I just take my hand off the keyboard and go for the mouse, that doesn't work either. So there's some awkwardness there. And in a weird way, I'm stuck and I can't go anywhere and I can't choose any other levels. If you go to the options here, no longer do we have the readme screen that mentions a joystick. Xbox One controlling joysticks are still not working. I guess maybe I could turn down the mouse sensitivity to a ridiculous amount. That kinda helps. But I'll go through the entire keyboard here and just tap a bunch of keys, and there's nothing here. There's nothing that would unlock a jump ability. So unless I somehow unlock something all the way back here, which maybe I did because there's some new enemies, that's kind of the only idea. But also take note that this is possibly worse game design now, because we're potentially running around all over the map looking for a secret that's either I don't know about, or for an ability to jump that I don't know about. And yes, there could be a secret on any door anywhere, or any wall anywhere, but you really shouldn't have to find that to move forward in the game. So it really does feel like this is just a jump that you're supposed to make, but it doesn't work. In no way does it work. And maybe that is just a DOSBox emulation thing. There we go. So 5 attempts it took to get to that point. And once I got the key, that immediately opened a door via, I guess, like a floor pressure trap. Not something that you would actually see, but just, I imagine that's the general concept. And you can't just open this wall for more secrets. So then you have to run back, and this is much more strategic and thought out than I feel like the first Doom levels were, where the first Doom levels I think were a little bit more straightforward and easy to recognize what you're supposed to do. They're trying to take the game from just being a mindless shooter into a more maze-like game. Let's see, now I need a blue key to unlock a bunch of things. And this is like the first barrel, I think, in the game. And go down here. You have to be careful that these barrels don't get knocked into each other so that it's blowing up a long chain of them that ends right next to your feet. Such as that. But yeah, you kind of have minimal improvement here, and then the next game in the series of Doom games, which there's quite a lot of them, you would be surprised, would be master levels for Doom, which by the name promise to be a lot more difficult than even this. And this isn't incredibly difficult by any means. I found 0 secrets apparently. Now it's supposed to take in a minute and 30 seconds. It took me 8 minutes and 45 seconds. And see, if I just don't hit any key right here at all, it'll just stay. So I'll hit one button, it does nothing. On the arrow key, I'll hit space. And yeah, they've gotten rid of the map animation. So it's probably going to be the same story for all of Doom 1 and all of Doom 2. I don't seem to own Doom 3, either the original version or the BFG edition. That's fine. We're really just coming down to the same statement over and over again. It's just like, historically, playing Doom 1, Episode 1, Level 1 makes a little bit of sense. But when you get to Doom 2, it's like very few people, even though it was a massive success, very few people compared to the number of people who played the shareware level of Doom, the shareware episode of Doom, actually took shareware up on their offer and bought the rest of the game, or bought Doom 2. And Doom 3, I would say, by the time that came out, it was a niche, popular, still a AAA game, but more of a niche game. So people had moved on to other kinds of games, certainly all over a very much wider spectrum of styles and types of games compared to when Doom 1 came out. And even the reboot arguably has itself still inside of a very niche mentality and ideology. It is still going to be a mindless shooter monster killer game. And if you're not a fan of mindless shooters, and if you're not a fan of demonic monsters in your games, I could see a lot of people missing out on it, and I suspect a lot of people did miss out on it. But that's what we're trying to work our way to, is the reboot, which, if the reboot makes me motion sick, then, well, I guess, unfortunately, the Doom series is just not for me. That's going to be it for this spotlight, though. I'm starting to potentially feel the motion sickness. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.